All right, welcome to another episode of Chally and the Boys. I am your host, Stephen Chalicombe, and you can follow me and the show on Twitter at ChallyATB. Joined with me tonight is one of the co-hosts, Will, as you can tell. Will, are you ready for the big Week 3 matchup Monday Night Football with the old Giants?
Let's go, Giants.
All right, awkward. Cowboys podcast, let's go Giants.
Yep.
So I guess there's probably a whole array of things we could definitely start with here. Is there anything you wanted to just jump right into first? Specific place you wanted to start? Cowboys offense, Giants
Hmm.
special teams. What are you interested in right now?
How many snaps is Michael Gallup gonna play? That's my answer. That's my question.
Mm, 18.
Probably right. 15 to 20 count.
Yeah.
I like. I get. Okay, let's get him some game speed or whatever. But like, get up to game speed, I guess, whatever. But like,
Mhm.
doesn't that just mean he's not ready? So then let's just wait him another week or whatever and keep him in practice, and that way. I mean, if he's healthy enough to play in the game, how's he not healthy enough to run like half the snaps?
I mean, I guess that's a good point, but I mean,
I'm right. It's a good point. I brought it up.
well, all right, so settle down there, fucking lamb chop.
Hey, Lamb Chop's playing well.
Yeah, I guess I just wasn't ready for you to just go right into this whole Michael Gallup situation. I mean, I have no problem with them keeping him on a snap count, right? Like, maybe there is, some like, hey, we're not actually sure if he's 100% yet. So maybe they just need to see him run a couple specific routes to see how the knee or the ACL really reacts to that first before they're like, all right, here's a full game script. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fucking doctor or a
Okay.
fucking physician, whatever.
What's the next important question after that is Dalton Schultz playing?
No.
So he's not.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I would bet he's not, and I would actually, man, you know what? I would actually be okay if he didn't. Not that I'm like, uh, fuck Dalton Schultz, but kind of like fuck Dalton Schultz. I wouldn't mind seeing Ferguson, right? Like, I think Dallas is going to win this game with or without Dalton Schultz. I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah,
Dalton Schultz
yeah, yeah.
is the game breaker. Spoiler alert, I do think Dallas is actually going to win this game. Uh, and I would like to see what Ferguson's actually got. I mean, just give Dalton Schultz the week off.
I heard this. So here's why I ask is because from what I'm hearing is that they're both going to play, or they both, or Gallup is definitely going to play because I mean, what's his face? McCarthy basically said it today in practice anyway. But then I heard earlier or later this evening that Schultz has a really good chance of playing. So let's just say Gallup is playing, but Schultz isn't. Okay. So who dresses, right? Because I mean, you figure Gallup's going to dress, and they cut Houston, or Houston went back
Mm-hmm.
to the practice squad, so Gallup takes Houston's spot, right? And if Schultz doesn't play, do you call up McCune or Sean McCune, however the hell
McEwen,
Sean, the other tight end, right?
Shawnee.
Or do you go light at tight end, run two tight ends, and also bring up Tolbert? But they might be bringing up Tolbert anyway because if Houston's cut, on the practice squad and Gallup is on a pitch count, they kind of need another wide receiver, don't they? So then they
Yes,
would
I
go
mean that'll put them at
McCune.
they'll still be at
Eh,
five receivers, right? CeeDee Lamb and no order. CeeDee Lamb, Noah Brown, fucking Gallup. Oh, you're saying if Gallup doesn't dress?
No, yeah, if he does dress, because he's taking the place of Houston, who was getting snaps, right? But if Gallup is on a pitch count, do they just then go basically short at wide receiver? I mean, numbers wise, they'd be the same. But if Gallup can only run a certain amount of routes or whatever, certain specific routes, packages, then they are limited on the
Well,
rest of the other
so
whatever else the
is
routes they
there a
want to do.
world that exists where both Gallup and Tolbert are dressing?
I think so.
Right. Well, I mean, eventually there will be, right? But so
I'm
who's
saying
who's
like,
that player that they're gonna put on the yak?
well, do then they cut or not cut, but do they just not dress one of the defensive backs?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. 'Cause
You
that's
know, I mean, you gotta sound silly, but you gotta sit somebody, and you kind of gotta sit somebody that's one doesn't get any, very few snaps, or is basically like 'cause Tolbert doesn't play
Josh
special teams
Ball.
either, and Gallup doesn't play special teams either.
I mean, Josh Ball's taking up
So
a spot right now, right?
yeah, yeah. But I like even though if he is poopy, he's still an offensive lineman, though, right?
So is Matt
That's what I was saying.
Waletzko.
Bro.
Both of those dudes don't need to be dressing.
Yeah, I know. No, you're no, you're. I mean, that's not half.
I don't know if that's the answer,
That's not
but
half bad though. I mean, because you got to kind of. That is a long position, I guess, because neither one of them are playing, and you don't really want to see either one of them play. That's not a bad. I hadn't really considered that. That was pretty. That's pretty good.
I'm here for you.
Hmm.
Hmm. I guess I'll have to see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So do you think,
But
since we're, I guess, doing a little more roster talk as opposed to this specific game, what have you heard the latest on Jason Peters?
uh, he's probably good to go next week.
With the Giants or you mean like the following?
Yeah, week 4. Yeah.
Okay.
What was that?
Yes, I
Is that the
saw.
Commanders?
Yeah, I saw. Man, I should have saved this one too. I'm really bad at it. I see a bunch of decent stuff on Twitter, and it's like, oh yeah, I'll remember that later. So somebody tweeted out a picture
Yeah.
of Peters in practice, and for whatever it's worth, he had his right hand in the ground, which would kind of indicate that he's practicing on the right side of the line. Um, that could also
Yeah.
really mean nothing, right? Like that could just be,
Could, yeah.
I don't know, him fucking stretching, whatever. But
Photoshopped. Yeah.
it could be photoshopped. You never know.
Fake news.
So that's that. Okay, I guess maybe more specifically into the matchup. How do you see Dallas winning this game? Like, what's their path forward to a win,
So
offensively?
it's kind of interesting that you asked that because I would say the game plan has to be very similar to what they just did to Cincinnati, getting a lead on not that the Giants' offense is good, but just get ahead of them and make Daniel Jones make him lose the game for them.
Okay.
Right. So on the offensive side, I mean, I would say just stick to Zeke. Let's keep Zeke going. Keep Pollard going, and so the Giants through I heard this stat. I'm not going to get the exact stat or whatever, but first they've given up the most 20-yard plus plays in the league through the first 2 games.
That's not a good
It's
stat.
for their defense, yeah, but it's
No,
good
yeah,
it's kind of good for the Cowboys. But can they take
sure.
advantage of it? I don't assume they're going to get 10 20-yard plays, but can we get 5 20-yard plays and maybe 2 of them be 40-yard plays? Big chunk plays that change the
Yeah.
field, get us one extra touchdown chance or one extra field goal, or completely flip the script and then punt it. You know what I mean? Or just those are kind of I basically the same thing against Cincinnati.
Okay. So I,
They just I mean they need to be more aggressive than were against Cincinnati
yeah.
because the Giants defense isn't any good. Okay, let's just be on. They're the best team in the NFL through the first 2 weeks on third down. Basically every other stat other than that, they're just absolute trash dookie. It's not good. Okay, so that's what they got to do. They got to be like they need Rush needs to be smart and not give the Giants the game because the Giants aren't going to score on Dallas,
Ye-
right? So
uh,
if is oh my God, okay. But if that's the case, but we also need to take chances though. So be aggressive, but also be smartly aggressive. I don't know. Is that a word?
smartly aggressive, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. So I mean, man, so
Yeah. What do you say? Yeah.
Saquon Barkley can still run. Right. I mean, he's going to get hurt eventually, right? But like they're
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
extremely efficient running the ball. However, with that being said, in Saquon's big week 1 game, he had 160 something rushing yards. 68 of that came on one run. So he still had a 100-yard game minus that, right? Like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
had a
Yeah.
big game. I'm not arguing that, but like if you take away that one big run, and that's been something Saquon's always done, at least when he was in the NFL, he's always had one really huge breakout run, which is huge, and then after that he averages like 3 yards a carry.
He did the same thing at Penn State. I think he led the country in like I don't know, like 30-yard runs, but like with like like double the amount of the second best guy. But then basically every other stat in his game it was 2 yards, 2 yards, negative 2 yards,
Yeah.
3 yards, 2 yards. You know what I mean? So the numbers. All the yards together do count. I mean, he did have the big long touchdown run like you said, but if you're not getting a 60-yard run and then fours and fives and some twos and threes, then your team's not getting first downs.
Right. Yeah, and
So
and to be fair, we did see actually that with Zeke. It was the third quarter, and it was a 3 and out. All 3 plays of Zeke, each one was 1 yard, and that's
yeah,
exactly what they don't need to do this week is just force feed Zeke. Um, I did just want to mention that I think if the Giants do cause any pain to Dallas, it is going to be in the run. I don't think we've really seen Dallas defend the run really well yet. However, they did play really well against Joe Mixon, but I also think that they made Cincinnati less than one-dimensional, zero-dimensional, if that's a thing, right? Like their pass game was irrelevant, but because they were able to make their pass game so irrelevant, they could just stack the box, so they couldn't run
Yeah.
either. It was really like, I don't know. Um, Whatever. That being said, I think if Dallas is going to win this game, I'm actually going to say maybe something wild now. I think Cooper Rush is easily throwing 3 touchdowns this game. Um, so I only not like I'm not saying like not Pro Bowl level fucking slicing and dicing dudes in the secondary. But so the Giants had 5 of their defensive backs on the did not practice report this week for
And
multiple days.
their best player's not playing at all. Like he's out.
Yeah,
Leonard Williams.
oh, right. Like
Well,
so
yeah,
this
Thibodeau hasn't played yet at all.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah,
this secondary that was already weak is already beat up. Um, I mean, this has got to be a week. CD Lamb and probably even quite honestly more so Noah Brown, but CD
Noah
Lamb has to
Brown.
fucking go off eventually. Like this is a prime matchup for him for that to happen, and it needs to fucking happen. And if not, cut him.
Okay.
Maybe that's a bit too soon. But either way, yeah. So I guess that's maybe like my bold take, right? Cooper Rush is throwing 3 touchdowns this weekend. Um, and I guess I can leave it with that.
I mean, I could see him easily getting three touchdowns, or not easily getting three touchdowns, but I mean, well, I mean, it just depends on how if Zeke gets tackled at the one and they decide to just do a little, goal line to Schultz or,
Sure,
to
yeah.
Hendershot or whatever, those, yeah, you can easily get touchdowns. I mean, not easily. Jesus Christ, I just said not, but you know what I mean. I don't know. Yeah, this is not a good Giant. It doesn't matter. They're 2-0, man. Listen, the Titans are not a very good team.
Yeah,
Okay.
The
And
Giants,
The Panthers are a really bad team.
yeah, the Giants are the worst 2-0 team. But yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, they are 2-0, right? Like
Yep. You have to win who's in their
things we
schedule.
were
Yep.
ragging on them for several years now was not winning the games they should have won. They are, I mean, they're winning the games they should be winning now, right? Like they are 2-0. But they are the worst 2-0 team in the league. I don't, I guess I'd have to maybe look to see if there's somebody else who could compete for that fucking trophy, but I'm confident that it is the Giants.
Well, from what I'm hearing too, is that at least they finally figured out the coaching.
Yeah.
Is that Dable apparently has his head on, even if he doesn't end up turning out okay, he at least has his head on straight and not knows what he's doing. He's not Joe Judge, who's a
Yeah,
clown.
drooling on
And
himself.
then the dude, I forgot to do with the slick back hair.
McAdoo.
Who McAdoo, who's with the is he still with the Cowboys? I don't remember what, but I mean, like they had him, and then they had Coughlin at the end of his career. You know, they basically have been getting it wrong for 15 years, and I know I'm missing somebody in between, or at least one or two guys. Whatever. The oh Christ, the hell's the dude's name? I don't know. They've just really been bad at that, and that's a little something. I mean, they still only have Daniel Jones, so you don't got to worry too much as a Cowboy fan about the Giants because if they can't get that right, they have so much more tooling of the roster to do. It's the exact opposite of the Eagles, right? Is the Eagles have a good roster, and Jalen Hurts is still better than Daniel Jones, right?
Hmm.
But if Jalen Hurts was on the Giants and had their roster, everybody would think Hurts was basically Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that's
You know,
pretty fair.
so that's what I gotta say about that.
Um,
That was Forrest Gump.
and that's all I gotta say about that. 7-7, by the way, Steelers Browns. Man, that's actually all I had on this game. So what about? So I guess as we kind of mentioned, Daniel Jones. I also see this is going to be another very, very, very big game for Micah Parsons. Like Parsons has a lot of these ideal matchups, right? Like we saw
Yeah.
him last week bully Lyle Collins, like to a point where he was making Lyle Collins spin around. Like he turned Lyle Collins into a literal turnstile. He abused whoever their left tackle was. We also saw him have success up the middle of the line. Here we're going into New York against a rookie right tackle in Evan Neal, who's going to be a stud right tackle one
Yeah.
day, right? He's not
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
yet. He's probably going to abuse that matchup. Another left tackle, and I don't even know who the name of their left tackle is, but I'm sure he's dog water.
No, they
And
have. Well, yeah, he didn't. I think it's Andrew Thomas, isn't it?
I,
He was one of their first early picks a couple years back. He just kind of hasn't been good, I guess, or whatever. I think he was from Georgia too.
maybe, yeah, I really, I don't. I mean, I suppose I could
But
look it up. But
did
either,
did you did you see though what Lawrence Taylor is going to be at the game? Did you see what he said?
no, no.
They asked him like what they thought, what he thought. I'm not going to get the quote right or perfect or whatever, but just basically what he said is that they were asking him, well, what's your thoughts on Parsons? And he's like, well, he's like, I really haven't ever watched up close whatever, but he's like, I'm going to be at the game, and he's like, I'll give you my my full assessment after the game. Because they're asking like, are you still the best? Are you still the best ever? Or is anybody, this all this whatever? And he was just like, yeah, he's like, if he come, I'll give you the fair assessment, because remember he's, a lot of people think he's the best defensive player of all time, and he probably is. He's definitely the best pass rusher of all time, like that. You can't really argue that, But it's cool that like, so I guess my question is, do you think that gives Parsons a little extra motivation? Or do you think that like puts a little too much pressure on him and he like gets crazy? I don't think the latter, but I think I've heard some people say that like he won't, that it'll get to him that Parsons is or that Lawrence is like watching him.
No, I
Right.
don't think he gives two flying shits.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, right? Like, I'm not in the mind of Micah Parsons, but his demeanor and his total, just the way he plays and 100% every down. I don't. Yeah, he doesn't give a shit that LT's gonna be there. I don't think that changes anything. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that this is one of those games too, uh, that you're right. He's got such favorable matchups, but they need to take like let's just abuse it right from the start. Let's not start him at linebacker. Uh, and have him off the ball. Let's have him like the first play of the game, man. Look, Daniel Jones is at home. He's trying to fumble you the ball.
Yeah, I was saying he's prone to fumbles. That's what I was trying
He's
to get
just
to.
he's just looking to give it to you. So
Hmm.
just like let just Parsons just let him have it. And if Parsons doesn't get it, man, Parsons is going to cause the pressure, and then one of Lawrence will get it, or Armstrong will get it, or one of the boys in the middle.
All right.
So
So
just let him attack.
and you know what happened the last time, or do you remember what happened the last time the
Yeah,
Cowboys played
I
against
heard
Daniel
I
Jones?
heard Jabril Cox is going to play this
Just
week. He's
one
suiting up
snap.
for only goal line. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jabril Cox ended his season, um, like
And so
decapitated that dude on the fucking goal line.
I know last week we were wondering like what was up with Cox. I heard, or I mean, from I mean, I guess I could say his name too, Brian Broaddus,
Yeah,
who's like is about in tune with anybody else, period, in covering the Cowboys. And he said that, Cox had came back really fast from whatever injury he had either in the offseason or healing up from
it was the ACL
previous
tear.
year.
Isn't that what he got it? Wasn't that
Yeah,
what he
but
was?
he might have came back from that and then re-hurt something or
Oh, okay.
whatever. And basically he came back too fast, and that's what he's healing from now. But he also pointed out though that it's also they're in really good shape that they don't have like whether he actually is still having an issue or that is the actual answer. They don't have to put him on the field because of how their field's doing, how the field, how all the linebackers are playing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the defense is playing at an exceptional level.
Yeah.
I mean, they can afford to wait for him to be 100% healthy plus another game, right? Like
Yeah,
at
might as
least for
well.
now. Yeah, the
Yeah.
same thing could be said for Gallup, right? I mean, I'm not saying the offense is firing on all cylinders, but I'm pretty sure I mentioned earlier, Gallup's not going to be the reason why you win or lose this game. No, I said that about Schultz, but I would apply the same to Gallup, right? Like he will definitely add offensive firepower, but he's not going to be the reason why you win or lose this game.
Yeah, I would assume, yeah, because you're right. I mean, if are you saying because even if he has a good game, they will more likely win because Parsons disrupted
I
or
yeah, I
they
think
ran the ball down their throats or whatever the case may be?
yeah, I think the defense is going to be the reason why they win this game because they either, essentially shut out, and I don't necessarily mean that in the sense that the Giants score zero, but metaphorically shut out the Giants, right? Like,
It's really hard to shut out NFL
yeah,
teams, man. It's really hard to play with intensity all with. I mean, there's plenty. I bet you if you look back at it, there's lots of teams, not lots, but the majority of teams that could possibly get shut out, go into the third quarter, being shut out, but then they put in a second, third stringers, and then they just complete a couple passes, and that's how they get a field goal or a touchdown, right? You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's hard to have that intensity. Because the other team's up 21-0. There's no point in rushing. If it's 7-0, that's a whole different story.
Yeah,
But
I concur.
I concur.
Yep. David Njoku touchdown, by the way. So I'm a fantasy team started in this week over Dalton Schultz. Give me that.
And you got lucky there.
Mm, yeah, well, she's got to be lucky.
True.
Um, do you have anything else that you
Hmm.
want to go over in this game? Hit me. Because I got nothing. I really, it's
Yeah, I
just
really don't.
the
I
run game
don't.
on both teams and
The Giants just aren't a really good team, so they need to take advantage of it and get this. I mean, not the Cowboys are a better team even without Dak Prescott, I think. So I think that they need to take advantage of that, get this W, and move on.
okay.
Because we might see the Giants later in the year, and they may be a better team because of the coaching alone.
Yeah, I mean, I think they will. So give us a prediction. Winner and score,
Uh,
of course.
I mean, I'll pick the Cowboys to win Monday Night Football. Um, I'll say 24, 17.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm taking Dallas also, and I'm gonna say I was gonna say 27-17, but I guess to maybe make it a little spicy, I'm gonna
Nope.
go with 20.
Stick with it.
Nah, 27-13.
I'll say 19. Okay.
13. Why not?
Because that's what I was originally was going to say 19. I was like, well,
Okay.
there's no way they're getting
I'll
that.
go
Yeah.
27-13. And we shall just wrap it up there. We
All right.
will see everyone next time.
Later.